Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gursheen Garland and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, we bring you the top 50 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. Our top focus comes in from Europe. US President Joe Biden has reportedly permitted Ukraine to use long-range missiles against Russia. The major policy shift follows North Korea deploying troops to help Moscow's war effort. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sought clearance from Washington for a very long time. Reacting to the reports, President Zelensky said that missiles would speak for themselves. Russia launched its largest airstrike in Ukraine in almost 3 months last night. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia launched 120 missiles and 90 drones. The attack caused a major damage to the power system of the country. The airstrike damaged at least 10 multi-story buildings in a residential area of the Sumy region. At least 10 people lost their lives and 52 others sustained injuries. Russia destroyed 59 Ukrainian drones overnight. Majority of drones were down from 3 regions bordering Ukraine. The drones were intercepted over the Bryansk, Kursk and Belgorod regions. Capital Moscow has also targeted. Until now, no casualty or damage has been reported. Now moving to the war in West Asia, an Israeli strike killed Hezbollah's media relations chief Mohammad Afif. Israeli forces carried out a precise strike in central Beirut. At least 4 people were killed in the strike, including the Hezbollah official. IDF said Afif was directly involved in Hezbollah's terror activities against Israel. Israeli forces launched another strike in Beirut's Mar Elias Street. The Lebanese health ministry said at least 2 people were killed and 22 others sustained injuries. The Israeli army also killed at least 11 and wounded 48 people in the southern Tyre region. Attacks were launched in the Baalbek district of eastern Lebanon. At least 6 people lost their lives and 11 sustained injuries. An Israeli strike killed at least 34 people in Beit Lahia city of Gaza. Israeli military said it struck terrorist targets in the area. Gaza Civil Defense Agency said at least 7 people were injured, with at least 59 missing. Hamas has accused Israel of committing a massacre in the region. Israeli police have arrested 3 people after 2 flares landed near Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's residence. The serious incident, as described by security agency, took place on November 16th. Speaker of the Parliament, Amir Ohana, accused anti-government protesters for the incident. Police said that the suspects would be interrogated jointly with the Shin Bet Internal Security Agency. The 19th G20 summit is set to begin in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro. The grand event is being hosted by President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. World leaders are set to hold discussions on a range of topics, from fighting poverty to boosting climate financing. This is also the last summit of outgoing President US Joe Biden. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a grand welcome in Brazil from the Indian diaspora. He landed in Rio de Janeiro to attend G20 Leaders Summit. Upon his arrival, Prime Minister Modi said he was looking forward for fruitful talks with world leaders. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Guyana after the G20 summit. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Nigerian President Bola Tinubu renewed the strategic partnership between the 2 countries. Both leaders also signed a series of agreements to foster collaboration in defense, economy, development and food security. The Indian Prime Minister was also conferred with Nigeria's 2nd highest national award. Meanwhile, ethnic unrest in northeastern India's Manipur continues. The latest wave of violence erupted after 6 bodies, including that of a 2-year-old child, were discovered in city's Jiribam district. Protests began in state capital Imphal, where violent demonstrators set fire to homes of lawmakers. The police have arrested 23 individuals after violent protests in Imphal. Bangladesh is set to seek the extradition of ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Meanwhile, Dhaka has already issued an arrest warrant against her. Sheikh Hasina left Bangladesh following anti-government protests against her over job quota. She is currently residing in India. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau admitted that his government made some mistakes leading to record immigration levels. He made the remarks during a 7-minute video released on his YouTube channel. The Canadian leader was seen detailing changes to immigration policies and why his government enacted them. He said Canada ramped up immigration to bolster the labour market following COVID-19. However, Trudeau claimed that some entities manipulated these programs for financial gains. In the West African country of Senegal, the ruling party claimed victory in yesterday's snap elections. This came after two opposition leaders conceded defeat. With 95% votes counted, President Bassirou Faye's party claimed victory. President Faye has promised a reforms economic agenda if he wins parliamentary majority. In climate news, Super Typhoon Manyi has made a second landfall on the main island of Luzon off the Philippines. Disaster officials say that at least 7 people were killed and 3 injured in a landslide. Over 1 million people in the region have been asked to evacuate. Manyi is the 6th typhoon to hit the Philippines in a month. Tropical storm Sara unleashed relentless rainfall in the Central American country of Honduras. The rainfall swelled rivers and trapped residents in their homes. According to officials, at least 1 person was killed and thousands were forced to flee. Sara is now headed towards Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Indian capital New Delhi's air quality has plunged to hazardous levels. The air quality index has soared to 900 and above in some parts of the city, falling into severe plus category. In response, the government has shut down physical classes for senior secondary students. Diesel and heavy goods vehicles have also been banned from entry unless they are carrying essential items. New research reveals that warming tropical wetlands are releasing record levels of methane, posing a significant challenge to global climate goals. Scientists say regions such as Central Africa, Southeast Asia, the Amazon and southern Brazil are the major contributors. Between 2020 and 2022, atmospheric methane levels rose at their fastest rate since measurements began in the 1980s. In Brazil's Rio de Janeiro city, indigenous protesters sank cutouts of the top G20 leaders in Botafogo Bay. They sank heads of Russian President Vladimir Putin and Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba in the water. This was to protest against the global inaction toward climate change. The protesters want the leaders to find a way to fight the warming of the planet and cut CO2 emissions. Activists in colorful costumes danced through Rome over the weekend as part of a climate pride march. This aligns with global demonstrations during the COP29 summit in Azerbaijan. Over 70 organizations, including Fridays for Future and Greenpeace, rallied for an end to fossil fuel dependency. On to business and tech news now. Oil prices rose today as Russia intensified its attack on Ukraine. The global benchmark for oil prices, Brent crude, rose by 0.46% to over $71 per barrel. Investors are concerned about the escalating fighting between Russia and Ukraine. Reports say the US has allowed Ukraine to hit targets inside Russia using its long-range missiles. Meanwhile, gold prices also rose after a steep fall last week. Prices of the yellow metal increased by 1% to over $2,587 per ounce. Analysts say investors are moving back to gold as they await guidance from the US Federal Reserve. The US Central Bank is set to release minutes from its last monetary policy meeting this week. US President-elect Donald Trump has named Brendan Carr as the chair of the Federal Communications Commission. The agency regulates broadcasting, telecommunications, and broadband-related industries. Carr has been a long-time member of the Federal Communications Commission. Trump said Brendan Carr is a warrior for free speech who has fought against regulatory warfare. Meanwhile, reports say US President-elect Trump plans to establish a federal framework for self-driving vehicles. Donald Trump reportedly plans to ease regulations on these cars. This would be one of the priorities for the US Transportation Department under his administration. Australia's corporate watchdog has filed a lawsuit against the country's second largest bank, National Australia Bank. It is accused of failing to provide legally mandated relief to financially distressed customers. Australia requires banks to ease lending rules for such customers under its National Credit Code. However, the regulator says National Australia Bank failed to do so in the last 5 years. Chinese real estate firm Country Garden has reportedly submitted a debt restructuring plan to its creditors. The proposal includes the firm's future earnings forecast and its ability to meet its obligations. Reports say the proposal was shared with some creditors last month. Country Garden defaulted on its $11 billion debt last year. Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba Group plans to raise about $5 billion. It would be raised via bonds in both US dollar and Chinese yuan. Denominations, Alibaba said it would use the funds to repay some debt and buy some shares. TikTok's parent firm ByteDance has reportedly achieved a market valuation of about $300 billion. This comes as the firm approached investors to buy back some shares. Reports say that at the current share prices, ByteDance's market value would increase by about 13%. In the last share buyback round in 2023, the firm was valued at $268 billion. New graphics processors from American chip giant are reportedly facing a setback. The Blackwell AI chips are overheating servers and data centers. Reports say NVIDIA has asked its suppliers to change the design to resolve the issue. The issue is expected to delay the supply of Blackwell AI chips. India's Tata Electronics reportedly plans to set up a joint venture with Taiwanese contract manufacturer Pegatron. The unit will own Pegatron's iPhone plant in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu. Tata Electronics plans to buy a 60% stake in the plant. With this, it would hold the majority stake in the joint venture and manage daily operations of the plant. Moving to sports, we start with cricket. England's fifth and final T20 international of the series against West Indies was washed out. Batting first, West Indies were 44 without loss after final overs when rainfall began. The ground staff attempted to clear the wet outfield for the game to resume, but the match was abandoned without a result. England won the series 3-1. Sri Lanka beat New Zealand by 3 wickets in their second one-day international using the Duckworth-Lewis method. Batting first in the rain-hit ODI, New Zealand were bowled out for 209 runs. During Sri Lanka's chase, Kusal Mendes hit a 74-run knock. The hosts won the match by 3 wickets with 6 balls remaining. Meanwhile, India's Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill will miss the first test against Australia in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, which begins on the 22nd of November. This comes after Sharma stayed back in India after they became father to a baby boy recently. Shubman Gill's absence is attributed to thumb injury. India will be captained by Jasprit Bumrah in the first test to be played in Perth. In football, England beat Ireland 5-0 to secure the Nations League promotion to the League A group. Harry Kane made the opening goal in 53rd minute shortly after Anthony Gordon and Conor Gallagher followed through. Jared Bowen extended England's lead to 4-0 in the 76th minute. Taylor Harwood-Bellis scored the final goal to seal the game. France beat Italy 3-1 in the Nations League. Frenchman Adrien Rabiot scored the opening goal of the match right at the start. A self-goal by Italy gave France a 2-0 lead in the 33rd minute. But shortly after, Andrei Klishas scored Italy's lone goal to take the scoreline 2-1. For France, Adrien Rabiot scored again in the 65th minute to seal the win. In tennis, Italy's Jannik Sinner lifted the season-ending ATP Finals trophy in front of a home crowd. This came after Sinner defeated American Taylor Fritz 6-4, 6-4 yesterday. Sinner also became the first Italian to win the ATP Finals. Former world number 1 men's doubles pair Rohan Bopanna and Matthew Ebden have decided to part ways. The Indo-Australian pair closed off their partnership on a winning note. They defeated their German opponents 7-5, 6-7, 10-7 in their last ATP Finals game. Together, India's Bopana and Australia's Aberdeen won a Grand Slam and won 2 ATP 1000 Masters titles. In hockey, India beat Japan 3-0 in their final pool match at the Women's Asian Champions Trophy. For India, Navneet Kaur broke the goalless deadlock in the 37th minute. Deepika Kumari converted the 2 penalty corners in their fourth quarter to give India a 3-0 lead. India will play against Japan again in the semi-finals tomorrow. India's sports ecosystem is expected to reach $130 billion by 2030, according to a report by Google and Deloitte. The report said that the sports sector could potentially create up to 10.5 million jobs in the next 6 years. The sector could also contribute up to $21 billion in indirect tax revenue by 2030. And boxing legend Mike Tyson, and he has said that he has no regrets about his loss to Jake Paul in their heavyweight match on November 16th. Tyson reflected on his health situation in June when an ulcer forced the 58-year-old to have multiple blood transfusions. After winning the bout, Jake Paul said it was an honor to fight Tyson and that the veteran remains an inspiration to all. Now moving to the world of showbiz, according to Netflix, nearly 60 million households watched the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. 27-year-old Paul claimed victory over former heavyweight champion 50-year-old Tyson after 8 rounds. The heavyweight boxing match was Netflix's latest dive in live streaming events. According to reports, rapper Sean Combs has been found defying rules in jail. He allegedly tried to influence a potential jury. The rapper has already been accused of contacting witnesses. He allegedly asked his family members to speak the witnesses so that he could get a bail. The rapper is in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, awaiting trial for sexual assault and racketeering charges. A Zayn Malik lookalike competition was held in New York yesterday. Fans of the former One Direction singer participated in the event to win the title. Shiv Patel was voted as the winner of Zayn Malik lookalike competition. Over 300 people confirmed their participation in the event. Singer Taylor Swift was joined by singer Gracie Abrams for a performance at the Eras Tour show in Toronto. They performed their 2025 Grammy-nominated song Us and Swift's 1989 hit Out of the Woods. The pair previously teamed up for the song at London's Wembley Stadium in June. Gladiator 2 has earned $87 million at the international box office. This is from 63 markets that the film has been screened in. The film got the strongest launch in UK with $11.4 million from 722 locations. The sequel to Gladiator carries a $250 million plus budget with itself. Actor Jonathan Bailey will reprise his role in Bridgerton Season 4. Unlike last season where the spotlight was on his story, the new season will focus on the lives of other characters to bring in new dynamics into the mix. The production for Season 4 begins this week. Actors Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander attended the London premiere of The Agency. It is Fassbender's new CIA thriller series. Fassbender emphasized that The Agency explores the sacrifices, relationships, and personalities involved in espionage. Actor Eva Longoria says Donald Trump wasn't the reason behind her departure from the US. She stated in an interview that her move to Europe is because of her professional commitments. The actor has been living in Europe for 3 years now. According to reports, actor and singer Jessica Simpson is heartbroken after allegedly separating from her husband Eric Johnson. As per reports, she is going through an incredibly difficult time. They were married for nearly a decade. Simpson and Johnson have been both seen without their wedding rings in recent months. And finally, Denmark's Victoria Kaja Tilweg has been crowned the new Miss Universe of 2024. The 73rd Miss Universe pageant was organized in Mexico City. The 21-year-old Danish defeated 124 women from around the world to get the prestigious crown. This is also the first time when a woman from Denmark has achieved this feat. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gursheen Garland and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.